The restaurant was warm, loud, and full of clinking glasses, but the moment my parents turned toward me, everything went silent in my head. They didn't lower their voices, didn't try to hide the disgust in their eyes. They just stared, unimpressed, as if my very presence ruined their evening. When they said I didn't deserve to be part of the dinner, the table erupted in awkward coughs and quick glances, but no one spoke up, not even my sister, who kept scrolling through her phone like this was normal. I sat there for a few seconds, letting their words sink in. They'd said hurtful things before, but this one hit different. This was a public declaration. This was them telling the entire room that I wasn't one of them. I wasn't family. I was an inconvenience they had tolerated for far too long. The worst part wasn't the insult itself. It was how casual they were about it, as if humiliating me was the most natural part of their routine. They had invited everyone else for a celebratory dinner. New promotions, milestones, accomplishments, nothing to do with me. I was included only because someone must have asked if I was coming. But the moment I arrived, I felt the familiar shift. My brother's smirk, my mom's sigh, my dad's disappointment. They didn't want me there. They just didn't want to look bad for not inviting me. So they found a new way to make me feel unwelcome. I could have argued. I could have stood up and demanded they explain themselves. But all I did was watch them, noticing how comfortable they were degrading me. It wasn't anger that rose inside me. It was clarity, a kind of calm I hadn't felt before. For the first time, I saw my family exactly as they were, not as I wished they'd be. They thought their words would shame me into silence. But instead, they handed me the final push I needed to change everything. I didn't react right away. I let the air thicken around the table, let their words sit there like something spoiled. My mother went back to cutting her steak, pretending she hadn't just humiliated me in front of my extended family. My father leaned back, satisfied, sipping his wine like he had finally said something he'd wanted to say for years. My brother whispered something to my sister, and they both laughed under their breath. I wasn't angry. Not anymore. Their cruelty had become predictable, routine, even. What changed that night wasn't their behavior. It was my threshold. Something inside me shifted, almost like a door closing quietly. No drama, no shouting, just certainty. I picked up my water, took a slow sip, and looked around the table. Everyone avoided my eyes. They were waiting for me to cry or lash out or storm off so they could whisper about how I always overreacted. They expected the same old script, the scapegoat playing her role. But I had already decided I was done. The truth was, I had spent the last year silently working, saving, and building my own life behind the scenes. I had poured everything into a project I didn't tell anyone about because I knew my family's pattern. Anything I did was either mocked, dismissed, or used against me. So I kept it all private. My late nights, my weekends, my progress. No one knew what I was preparing for. And tonight, their insult didn't hurt. It confirmed I was right to detach. My father cleared his throat. Will you stop sulking? You make everything uncomfortable. My mother chimed in, wiping her mouth. Honestly, just eat quietly. Don't ruin your siblings' celebration. That was the moment I understood something sharp and undeniable. It didn't matter what I did. I could win awards, buy a house, write a book, or disappear. They would respond the same way. Their minds were set. Their version of me was fixed in stone, and trying to earn approval from people committed to misunderstanding me was a losing game. So I pushed my chair back. Not harshly, not dramatically, just enough for the sound to cut through the table's fake sense of comfort. The conversation stopped. Heads turned. My mother looked up, irritated that I dared create even a minor disruption. I think I've overstayed my welcome, I said quietly. They didn't argue. They didn't ask where I was going. They didn't stop me. They simply watched, relieved, as if the trash was finally being taken out. But I wasn't walking away in shame. I was walking away with a plan. When I stepped outside, the cool night air hit differently. It felt like permission, like a beginning. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty for choosing myself. I didn't feel small or scared or lonely. I felt free. I went home, packed my essentials into a single suitcase, and opened my email. The message I had been too scared to send for months, my acceptance of a remote job abroad, was still sitting in drafts. A job I had earned on my own. A job that paid more than both my siblings combined. A job that came with housing, relocation support, and room to grow. No one in my family knew about it. They didn't ask about my life enough to know I had even applied. Before I clicked send, I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Not because I doubted myself. I just wanted to fully absorb the weight of what I was about to do. Leaving them wasn't the scary part anymore. Staying was. I hit send. The confirmation email arrived moments later, along with travel details, start dates, and my contract. Everything was ready. Everything was waiting. I didn't tell anyone as I booked my ticket. I didn't write a long explanation or leave a dramatic note. I simply locked the door behind me the next morning, dropped the house key on the kitchen table, and walked out. No arguments. No goodbye. Just peace. The airport felt like another world. No judgment. No comparisons. No guilt. I boarded the plane with a lightness I hadn't felt in years. As the plane lifted off the runway, I watched my city shrink beneath me, along with every memory of being the family's punching bag. When I arrived at my new place, a small but bright apartment with huge windows, I stood in the center of the room and let silence settle around me. Not the tense silence of home. A good silence. A chosen one. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. Not because someone allowed me in, but because I chose myself. My parents didn't notice I was gone for 5 days. Not a single call. Not a single message. I had expected it, but seeing the empty notification bar still hit with a dull sting. On the 6th day, everything changed. A relative posted photos from another family dinner. My seat filled by my sister's friend. My mother commented, "She finally stopped ruining our evenings." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. Life on the other side felt different. I woke up without dread. I worked without walking on eggshells. I cooked meals no one criticized. I started decorating my new apartment, choosing colors and furniture that matched my taste instead of what my family mocked. I even slept better, as if my body had been waiting years to exhale. Then the real shock came. My parents' message arrived out of nowhere. "Where are you? Your brother can't access the house paperwork. We need you to fix it. Call us immediately." Of course they didn't reach out because they missed me. They reached out because they needed me. Suddenly, the person who didn't deserve to be part of dinner was the only one who could solve their problem. I stared at the message, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger or sadness. Just clarity. I responded with a single line. "I don't live there anymore. Handle it yourselves." And that was it. They tried calling 6 times. I didn't pick up. I had finally learned the one lesson they never expected me to master. When a family only wants you for what you can provide, walking away is the strongest answer you can give.